With us now, Philippa Namutebi Kabali Kagwa's memoir, Flame and Song, is emotional and told with joy, a story that reflects her love for Uganda and for her family. The storyteller, leadership coach, facilitator and teacher joins us from our Sea Point studio. Philippa, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Let's talk about this memoir because I found it to be so incredibly honest but so joyful. I can only imagine that growing up with your family and having access to such wonderful people like your mom and your dad must have had a profound effect on you.
Yes, it did. I think there was something about my parents that made it possible to handle challenges. And I think they complemented each other very, very well.
I want to talk about the perspective on how you approach this memoir, because you could have chosen to deal with many issues, but you talk about your family life with such happiness. You describe the relationships with your sister, your one sister teaching you to be fearless, your father's laughter. Talk to me about that, the approach to writing this memoir.
So it started actually as a grieving process when my parents had passed away and I was living here in Cape Town, and I realized I'd lived here longest, and I started to reflect on who am I, what has made me who I am. And slowly I began to piece together memories, things that shaped me, things that enabled me to be who I was. And I realized I didn't grow up necessarily in the easiest place. I grew up in Uganda during Idi Amin with two siblings who had cerebral palsy. So it could have been really, really sad, but there were things that held us together. And I think that's my philosophy on life, that life is not only good and it's not only bad. We hold those two things together, you know, your joy and your pain kind of dance together in your life all the time.
You have parents that, you know, from the way you talk about them, sounds like absolutely amazing people, and especially your mother. I want to talk about your mom. This storytelling. Your mom, as you talk about in the book, was a prolific storyteller.
Yes. Yes. My mother was a teacher, and she was a storyteller and a lover of literature. And so when I was young, I remember she used to tell us stories. With my father, they both told us stories, but she always told him, I am the better storyteller, and I think she was. And she taught me how to love books. Yeah.
Let's talk about the names, though, because this is your names. You are Philippa Ann Namutebi Naluwuza Naloga Nambuya Matua Muyama and Wahaki. Is that your names, right?
Yes.
And you said it's quite a long story. Quickly break it down for us. How come you ended up with so many names?
You know, I believe all African children have lots of names. So Philippa was the name my mother chose when she was pregnant with me. Anne was the name of the wife of a doctor, her gynecologist, and I don't know, she chose to name me that. Namutebi is my clan name. And when you know that I am Namutebi, I belong to the Mamba clan of the Baganda. Naluwoza was, I think, one of my father's aunts. Nalwoga was a stream near that my father loved very much. Mutua comes from my mother's side. She comes from the eastern part of Uganda. And in Lumasaba, the youngest child is always called Mutua. Let me see which one.
Yeah.
Mwihaki is a Kikuyu name, and when we lived in exile in Kenya, my very best friend, her mother called me Mwihaki. So
Philippa, unfortunately, we run out of time, but the book is called Flame and Song. It's a memoir by Philippa Namutebi Kabali Kagwa. And in actual fact, her birth names, I'll just repeat that again for you, is Philippa Ann Namutebi Nalubuza Naluga Nambuya Mutawu Muyama Wikaki. Anyway, take an ad break.